Howdy you whippersnappers, Leroy here, grandfather to Robbie. I'm one of those cool grandpas though, don't you worry. I'm on Vine.
Dude,
Huh?
Vine is dead.
Oh. Well, at least I'm still on MySpace. Well, Robbie's about to do his in the bag, and he's gonna use a lot of terms that a lot of you youngins don't know. So I thought I'd explain a couple things real fast, so when he talks about it, it's less confusing. The first thing he's gonna talk about is hyzer. Hyzer is when the outer edge of the disc is pointed downwards. It usually creates a C flight. An anhyzer is when the disc is released with the outer edge pointed up. Kinda like my cholesterol, always on the rise. Another set of terms you'll hear him use is overstable and understable. This means the disc's desire to go on its intended flight path. For example, a right-handed player throwing a backhand, an overstable disc is going to go left. An understable disc will go against the desired flight path and have the ability to go right. Now there are two terms related to overstable and understable, and that's beefy. No, I'm not talking about that kind of beef. Beefy means the disc is super overstable. If it flips over, that means that it's too understable. The last term you're gonna hear him use is hyzer flip. A hyzer flip is when a disc is released on a hyzer angle and goes to a flat flight. This is traditionally used in wooded courses in tight tunnels. That's all I think I need to teach you. I'll let Robbie take it away with his frisbees.
Dude,
Huh?
they're called discs, not frisbees.
Who knew? Things change all the time. What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here, answering the question that is probably my favorite thing to ask in disc golf. What are some of your go-to discs? What's in the bag? We're gonna take a minute and share what I'll be rocking in the 2021 season. But before we do that, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and hit that bell so you know when new content comes out. I can't talk about the 2021 season without first mentioning the amazing crew of sponsors that are supporting me this year. Aerolf Athletics, Disc.USA, Flight Towel, Throwback Sports, Blenders Eyewear. You can find links to all of their amazing products and discount codes in the description below. So go check it out. My bag has a handful of companies represented in it, and I know people really want to be sponsored by the major manufacturers. What a cool opportunity we have to try out and throw all the amazing plastic that's out there on the market. Let's choose to view this as an amazing opportunity, not that we're missing out on something else. Now, what bag am I going to be using this year? I'll be using the Throwback Sports Throwback Pack 2.0. It comes with some amazing features, tons of pockets, and these side pockets are actually insulated, which is pretty awesome. But the most important thing, the discs. Let's start off with the putters. This year, I'm going to be putting with Classic Blend Wardens. I carry two Classic Blend Wardens in the bag at 175 grams. The Warden feels so great in the hand, and it has a ton of glide, which allows it to just soar over the putting green into the basket. I carry two in the bag. One is a little more new and a little more overstable, but the other one is my general go-to putting putter, and I'm only going to switch to this one if this one's being mean to me that day or it's a little windy. As for throwing putters, one of my primary throwing putters is going to be the Gateway Diamond Chief. This is a disc sent to me by Tyler of Too Tall Dies, and he handmade this, which is awesome, and put my logo on it. I'm going to be throwing this on understable flip to flat shots. It just glides and has incredible distance that's super easy to throw, and I feel like in tight, short tunnels, this is going to get me out of trouble 9 times out of 10. The next disc in my bag is probably my favorite slot in all of disc golf, and that is my overstable putt and approach disc. I carry two R-Pro Pigs. If I had to play a one disc round, it's going to be with a Pig. And if you're playing with me, you're probably going to see my current Pig used all the time. The Pig is crazy overstable and super reliable. I love approaching with this disc, and it just seems to put me next to the basket super often. The thumb track feature of this feels amazing on forehands. The Pig has been an absolute game changer, and the thumb track, wow, can't beat it. So, if you haven't tried out a Pig, go check it out. These things are amazing, and trust me, you're going to see me throw this a lot. I carry 5 mid-ranges ranging from understable to overstable, and other than the R-Pro Pig, I love throwing mid-ranges more than anything else in the game. The first mold I carry is the Dynamic Discs Bounty, and I carry 2 of them. I recently got these discs dyed by Rick over at Darkside Dyes, and I'm absolutely in love with them. I use this disc for hyzer flips, and it just glides for days. If I find myself in tight wooded tunnels, I'm going to be relying on this pink bounty the most. It is the most understable mid-range I have in the bag, and I'm currently seasoning in this white bounty as well. The bounty is an amazing disc, and if you're looking for a mid-range to change your game, I would recommend the bounty by a mile. The next mid that I carry is the EMAC Truth in Fusion Plastic. My EMAC Truth is extremely neutral for me and gives me simple distance. It is so easy to throw this thing incredibly far and requires minimal amounts of power. If you need something to go dead straight, EMAC Truth is your game. If you need something to hold an anhyzer line, let's do it. As long as I am able to throw it, I will always have an EMAC Truth in my bag because it just does everything easily. The most recent addition of a mid-range to my bag is the complement to the EMAC Truth, and that is the Innova Rock 3. I have a Christine Jennings stamp on this. The Rock 3 is incredibly overstable, and I use it when I need something to go straight but have that reliable fade at the end. I need it to bank left or bank right if I'm throwing it on a forehand. I love this disc and the reliability of it. This thing is super consistent, and I look forward to using it all season long, never worrying about this thing turning over or anything bad happening no matter what winds I'm facing. The last mid-range that I carry in my bag is a Star Cayman. Now, when my Pig can't get the job done and I need to go just a little bit further, I'm pulling the Cayman out. It doesn't get thrown a ton, but I always want to have it in the bag because if heavy wind conditions come out, when I need an extra 30 to 50 feet the Pig can't get me, the Cayman's getting the call. I carry 6 different fairway drivers in the bag, and we'll start with the most understable. The most understable fairway driver in my bag is this Lucid Vandal. The Lucid Vandal I primarily have in the bag for uphill shots. I can throw this on a nasty hyzer flip. Due to its high glide, the Vandal just wants to climb those elevated fairways and never seems to want to get to the ground. I love the Vandal, and it has been such a fantastic addition to the bag. I do have to be careful because if I hit this thing too hard, it is a little flippy. So I just try to make sure when I'm throwing it that I'm just easing into it. There's no need to try to crush a Vandal because it just wants to crush on its own. Next up in stability is the SPZ3. The SPZ3 is a little more stable than the Vandal, so I can still hyzer flip this thing and it just rides straight for days. If I need 300 plus feet of dead straight distance, the SPZ3 is usually getting the call. Next up, I carry 2 Eagles. I carry one in Star Plastic and I carry one in Champion Plastic. The beauty of these is that an Eagle, when thrown flat, will actually have a little bit of turn to the right and then fade out to the left, especially in the Star Plastic. This Champion Eagle is brand new to the bag and it is super beefy. So I can throw it on some pretty big flex lines and still count on it fading back. The Eagle is a 7-speed, doesn't require a lot of power to get going, but it wants to sail forever. You're not really going to see me forehanding the Star Eagle. I will forehand the Champion Eagle because it can handle the torque, but if I'm going to be forehanding a fairway driver, it's probably going to be a Felon. The Felon is my go-to fairway driver. I carry one in the Fusion Plastic and one in the Lucid Plastic. Rick at Darkside Dyes hooked me up with a spin die on this Lucid Felon. I love the Fusion Felon because although it is reliably overstable and is going to fade out at the end, due to it being in the Fusion Plastic, it's pretty workable, so I don't feel like I have to tear my shoulder out just to get it to hyzer out. I can throw this thing on some mean flex lines as a forehand, but also throw it nice and flat and just know it's going to ride straight with a fade at the end. The Lucid Felon's in the bag because this thing is a flare machine. I can throw this thing super high, it's going to hit the ground and flare. So whenever I need something to get around a sharp corner or I really want to play the flare, the Lucid Felon's getting the call. I carry 7 distance drivers in my bag, but only 2 molds. The first is a Wraith. I carry two different wraiths in the bag. I carry a Star Wraith and a Halo Wraith. The Star Wraith is really worn in. I've had it in the bag for a while, and I can throw this thing on hyzer and it will flip up and ride straight for days and actually still have some turn before fading back in. If I'm looking for the straightest long distance disc I have, it's this Star Wraith. The Halo Wraith feels amazing in the hand. It is notably more overstable than my Star Wraith, but that's okay. It still has that reliable high glide, a little bit of turn, so it's gonna go right when you throw it on the backhand, but then still come back pretty hard with a fade. If I have a tailwind that's gonna help carry the disc forward, I'm usually gonna pull out this Halo Wraith and let it just fly. It's probably my farthest flying forehand disc because it just naturally finds a flex line due to the little bit of turn that the Wraith has. Last but certainly not least, are my destroyers. I carry 5 destroyers in my bag in different stages of wear and tear, and most of my destroyers that are dyed have a Sasuke Uchiha theme to them. The most understable destroyer I have is this red one in the star plastic with the Sharingan die. I can throw this thing on crazy anhyzer lines and it just holds the anhyzer the entire time. I also can hyzer flip this and it just soars for days. It's really worn in, really loved. It's such a great disc, but I do have to be careful what wind conditions I throw it in. Next up in the stability line is this purple Star Destroyer with the Renegon die. This is my most used destroyer. I throw it pretty often. I can throw it on a little bit of hyzer or a little flat, and it's going to give a natural flex line and come back. If I'm on a hole that needs big distance and I feel like I really can just open up, this is usually the disc getting the call, and it really has become a super comfortable disc in my hand. Next up in stability is this Halo Destroyer with the Uchiha stamp. I throw this on flex lines with a backhand. I really don't throw it on too many forehands. We'll get to those in a minute. Especially if I'm looking for those high flex lines over some trees, this is the destroyer getting the call. I know that it's going to fade out, but it isn't so overstable that it won't hold the anhyzer angle for a little bit. It's a great disc to have, and I really enjoy, once again, that Halo plastic. It just feels great in the hand. Next up is my forehand destroyer with this fake Huck Lab stamp. This is one of the first stamps that I ever tried to do, and you can tell on the blade that, man, it didn't go that great. It is board flat, and it feels amazing on forehands. If I ever need a huge flex forehand, Huck Lab's coming out, and you're gonna see this thing just chop through the air. And I've actually owned it longer than any other disc that's in my bag, and it's still crazy overstable. You're never gonna see me throw this on a backhand. It's only going to be thrown on forehands. Which leaves us with our last disc, which is another Halo Destroyer. This is the most overstable driver I have in my bag due to its pop-toppy nature. It has a great amount of glide to it, and I can throw it on some flex lines, but it really doesn't want to hold a flex line because it's that overstable. If I'm looking for a big hyzer or I want to throw something on a flat shot knowing that it's just going to get left, this Halo Destroyer is coming out. I also will throw this on some forehands, but if I'm really looking for a forehand, I'm probably going to the Huck Lab. This thing feels great, but it's probably the destroyer that you'll see least in my bag, and that's just because it's that overstable. It is really nice when wind conditions rise to have that super reliable, crazy overstable driver. That's going to wrap it up for my in the bag. What do you guys think? Is there a disc that I'm missing or a slot that I don't have covered? Let me know in the comments below. Are there molds that I have that you'd love to try out? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing how your 2021 season goes, and I'm very excited to have these tools at my disposal heading into this incredible year. Thank you so much for coming by, and I hope you have an amazing week. But for now, I'm going to leave you with the birdie.